Here today on Labor Day to demand the genocide stop in Gaza, the pogrom stop in the West Bank. And the way to do that is to stop the military cargo that's coming from the United States. From the Oakland airport, there's military parts going to Israel. We have to organize in the working class for a general strike to shut down this country. That is the only thing that's going to stop Trump and the fascists who control and run the U.S. government. And today at noon, there was a rally in Chicago, and the Chicago labor movement, the Chicago working class is saying they don't want the military, they don't want the troops, and we agree with them. There should be no troops, there should be no military, there should be no ICE anywhere, not in Chicago, not in San Francisco, not in Washington, D.C. So that's what we're going to be organizing for in the labor movement. And there are unions who are coming today in San Francisco on Labor Day 2025, and that's important. But these unions have to use their power. They want to crush the working class in San Francisco and in California. When I heard that National Guard helicopters were being used to chase farm workers off their farms, that's an attack on the entire people of the United States, on the entire working class. So we have to start organizing politically. We have to organize in the unions and the working class to shut down the airlines, to shut down this country. This is the only power that can stop Trump and the fascists to run the U.S. government. We're going to have some speakers raising this issue in the labor movement and calling on unions to organize a general strike against the fascist government. That is the power to stop it. That's what we have to have. And here's some other banners for a general strike as well that are coming. We got to build a movement for a general strike. And in 1934, there was a general strike in San Francisco. And that's important because this shows that workers have the power. That general strike in San Francisco for 3 days shut down San Francisco. It led to the victory of the longshoremen, the ILWU. That's what was successful about the general strike. When you bring all workers together collectively, that is the power. That's what we have to raise up in this country. We have to bring all working people together, the farm workers, the steel workers, the auto workers, the tech workers, bring them together for a general strike. That's the only thing the capitalists understand. When the country is shut down, then they understand they have a threat. And that's why the general strike movement is critical. Building a general strike movement and a labor party. Because the Democrats, what are the Democrats doing in San Francisco? The Democrats are allowing the police and the sheriff to help raid these places. ICE works with the sheriff's department, works with the police department, and in San Francisco, although supposedly this was a sanctioned city, that's not the case. Actually, they work with the police department. So what we're saying here today is we need a general strike. We need to build a mass movement in the working class and in the unions to shut down this country, to shut down San Francisco. General strikes have happened before in San Francisco.
Shut down California.
Shut down California. We need a strike to shut down the state of California. That if Trump wants to crush California, let's shut down California and shut down the airports and the shipping lines so there's nothing moving in California. That is the power to challenge Trump, to challenge these fascists. So that's what we're arguing here today. That's what we're supporting today. What we're saying is jail Trump, not the immigrants. Jail Trump, not the immigrants. That's what we have to say. Jail Trump, not the immigrants. The immigrants are the ones that built this country. They're the ones that feed us. They're the ones that take care of us. Why are we attacking the immigrants? They want slave labor. That's why they're attacking the immigrants. They want workers as slaves, where workers don't have any rights, where they don't have any unions. And Project 2025, which Trump is implementing, the fascists are implementing, would destroy all public workers, all public education, all public services. It's a fascist program, and we have to organize against this fascist program. And the unions have the power to fight it. The unions have the power to shut this country down. That's what we should point to. Protests are not going to stop Trump. These fascists have state power. They just passed a bill that is going to allow them to hire 10,000 ICE people. These are fascists that they're going to use in the streets to terrorize people. They want people to shut their mouths canals. They want to terrorize them. Only the united power of the working class can stop this. We have to unite the entire working class to shut down this country. And the prisons, they want to turn Alcatraz into a prison. What we're saying is we have too many prisons. We have to put people to work. We don't need prisons. We need human rights. We need money for public services. They're spending over $1 trillion for war. Why? Why are they spending money for war and profiteering? Why are they spending money for genocide in Gaza? Because they are profiteers. That's what capitalism and imperialism does. It spends money for war rather than on the people. In fact, Trump is demanding that in Europe and Japan and Korea, they spend more money for the military machine and take away from public service. We say enough is enough. We have to have a general strike in this country to shut down this racist, fascist regime. That is the power. Unity for one, solidarity for all. An injury to one is an injury to all. Thank you, brothers and sisters. So our next speaker is going to be Lisa Milos. She is a former member of UPD. She was on the Labor Council, and she was recently at the CWA convention. My union has 700,000 members, and they talked about fascism in my union convention, but they don't have any plan. They don't have any solution about what to do. They're afraid of it, but being afraid of it is not going to stop fascism. So welcome, Lisa.
Hello, I'm a former member of UPD because I retired. I'm actually a member of the CWA Retiree Members Council, so I'm still a member of the union movement in this country. I was a member of the San Francisco Labor Council, and I've got to say something. I'm also Chilean American, and I know what fascism looks like. And everybody seems to be so surprised about this encroaching, what they call authoritarianism. That's what they called it at the CWA convention, authoritarianism. They didn't dare call it fascism. Everybody seems to be so surprised, and they say it's not logical. Why are they sending troops, or why are they sending National Guard to Chicago when the crime rate is down? You know why? Because he's a fascist, that's why. And that's what fascism does. And unless we, as part of the labor movement, stand up against this with a strong voice and bringing all of our members out as much as we can, we're going to encounter a very serious situation. I also want to say that as a member of the Labor Council, whenever I brought in resolutions of international solidarity, there were sectors of the Labor Council that would refuse to go to the meetings because they did not want to deal with international solidarity. There's going to come a time when American workers are going to need international solidarity, and I think that time is now. We're going to be needing the international solidarity of the rest of the world. But we haven't been able to step up, especially with regard to Palestine. In 2021, where there was 30 delegates, we brought to the San Francisco Labor Council a resolution on Palestine in 2021. It was basically sent to committee. And then we got a letter from the AFL-CIO telling us that we couldn't even discuss that issue of Palestine at the San Francisco Labor Council. We all know, and especially me as a Chilean American, we know the role that the AFL-CIO played in the destabilization of the Allende government from 1970 to 1973. And even before that, the AFL-CIO has done many bad things, and they have refused to apologize, and they continue with that by funding the National Endowment for quote-unquote democracy. Everybody was upset because Trump he took away the funding of USAID. USAID, by the way, has been responsible for doing soft coups around the world. And in fact, a lot of these so-called independent journalists around the world were losing funding because they were all being funded by USAID to destabilize governments around the world for US interests. And that's not the same thing as the interests of the American worker. U.S. interests do not coincide with the interests of U.S. workers. On the contrary, we should be on the side of Palestinian workers. I'm going to read something from the Palestinian General Federation of Trade Unions, because we barely ever hear anything about the Palestinian General Federation of Trade Unions. Almost 2 months now, people are being forcibly starved in Gaza. And people are being kidnapped in the West Bank. Dear friends, trade unionists, and comrades in struggle throughout North America and the world, on behalf of the Palestinian General Federation of Trade Unions in the Gaza Strip, we address an urgent appeal to all unions, labor, and human rights organizations in the United States and around the world. It's time to stand united against the machine of death and destruction, to say without hesitation, no to genocide, no to massacres, no to starvation. We call on you to mobilize all your energy, resources, efforts, and initiatives to ban Israeli weapons of mass murder and to use all possible means to halt the ongoing Holocaust to which our Palestinian people are subjected daily, and to prevent the U.S. administration from supplying this occupation with weapons. Our people are steadfast, holding their heads high, thanks to you, your efforts, and your support for us. They will continue to struggle courageously for their land, freedom, and dignity, for a life with dignity and social justice, and to confront the heinous and criminal attempts to obliterate their rights. We appreciate every movement, every message of solidarity, every act of resistance to injustice. We affirm that labor and trade union solidarity among peoples, especially among labor unions in America, is the most powerful weapon against the killing machine. Your voice and efforts can make a difference and galvanize the world to stand with Palestinian rights. Our Palestinian people demand nothing but freedom and dignity, and they are resisting for a just life for all their children. We raise our voices so that their resonance reaches the entire world, and to affirm that your continued activities, presence, and pressure are a protective shield that will alleviate our pain in the face of the Zionist war machine. Let us raise our voices, break the silence, and struggle for a world that stands with justice and humanity, not with the killing machine and occupation. Long live the ongoing struggle. Long live international popular solidarity. Long live the free, resistant Palestinian people. At the CWA convention that I attended, I was a guest, even though I ran to be a delegate. My union, UPTI, with 20,000 members, could have had at least 33 delegates. Historically, it had been about 24 of the 3 other times that I had gone as a delegate. This time they voted to only have 4 delegates. 4 out of 20,000 members. We need to address an issue of union democracy on this Labor Day as well, in order so that our struggles can be effective and that we can truly join with the rest of the world. We need to address union democracy. In the election, I came in 5th place, me and another comrade from UPTI members for Palestine. Our union didn't even allow alternates, so I had to go to the CWA convention as a guest. There was proposals to bring resolutions to the floor in solidarity with Palestine. Guess what? The union leadership did not allow it. They did not even allow an amendment to that a resolution. They brought a resolution that talked about a 2-state solution. Let's talk about what a 2-state solution will look like. The 2-state solution that they're proposing is basically no airspace allowed for Palestinian new state, no army, no control of their finances. That's what the 2-state solution they're proposing. That's not a 2-state solution. What the Palestinian movement has been asking for and has been fighting for is a 1-state solution with equality for all, which is what all working people should be demanding. A 1-state solution with equality for all. Nothing less than what we demand for ourselves and for our working people and our members. They presented and passed, CWA passed a resolution in support of U.S. aid, continuing its legacy of supporting U.S. imperialism through the right arm of the AFL-CIO. We need to democratize our unions. We need to fight fascism, and we cannot do it unless we are democracy. democracies, true democracies, worker democracies. We need to fight for a Labor Party and break ties with both Democrats and Republicans. We cannot afford one more day. We need to keep going and truly have a party and a movement that represents working people. I think Steve is going to talk about what his attempts to bring forth a resolution for a single payer. He's a member of the Pacific Media Workers Guild, and he presented a resolution at his local, which passed, a single payer resolution.
We have an amazing singer here, Francisco Herrera.
Smash fascism. Smash fascism. Let's get organized.
Ya estamos cansados y pasan los días y no hay mejoría. De tantas mentiras ya estamos cansados y tú de brazos cruzados. Solo nos manejan siempre a su antojo y ya sé por qué. Y solo migajas y falsas promesas es lo que nos dan. ¿Y qué tal si ahora nos organizamos para estar unidos? Hay que jalar juntos, solo así tendremos lo que merecemos. Saben que es lo justo lo que les pedimos, pero nos lo niegan. Si estamos unidos no nos vencerá.
Como dice el dicho, si estamos unidos no nos vencerán.
Pa' ti no soy nadie, yo solo soy alguien pa' tu beneficio. Cuidas tus finanzas y a mí no me alcanza ni para vivir. Hay tantos problemas y no hay soluciones, solo hay ilusiones. Sé que no nos quieren, eso lo demuestran con su proceder. Sé que no nos quieren, eso lo demuestran con su proceder. ¿Y qué tal que ahora nos organizamos para estar unidos?
Hay que
jalar juntos, solo así tendremos lo que merecemos. Saben que es lo justo lo que les pedimos, pero nos lo niegan. Como dice el dicho, si estamos unidos no nos vencerá. Como dice el dicho, si estamos unidos no nos vencerá. Saben que lo justo es nuestro objetivo, nuestra independencia. Es lo que queremos y nos merecemos, es la solución. Es lo que queremos y nos merecemos, es la solución.
Eso. Thank you.
We know that this struggle to defend our human rights is a basic struggle. And one of the issues that we face in San Francisco is a crime against the people in Hunters Point Bay Viw. They're literally planning to blow up a radioactive building to attack people. And joining us today is Dr. Ahimsa Sumchai, who's going to be talking about that struggle in Hunters Point Shipyard. Welcome, Dr. Ahimsa Sumchai.
Thank you, Steve Zeltzer, for your hard work and your resilience and your persistence in standing up for working people. My name is Dr. Ahimsa Sumchai. I'm a medical researcher and environmental justice activist. I've been working in Southeast San Francisco, where I grew up, where my dad was a career longshoreman at the Hunters Point Naval Shipyard. And I am here because all politics is local, and many of the issues that you are concerned about that have impact on people internationally and nationally are represented in what is going on at the Federal Superfund site at the Hunters Point Naval Shipyard in Southeast San Francisco. In March of this year, Navy contractors sent out a public statement announcing that they were going to blow up 6 radiologically impacted buildings located on radiation contaminated soil over the next 6 months. They proposed doing this without an environmental review. They proposed doing this concealing the occupational and public health risks to residents and to workers, and they did this in violation of the federal Superfund law. They are continuing to promote this demolition plan, and they are doing it again with by trying to conceal the degree of radiation contamination of these buildings and structures, and they are also concealing the adjacency issue, the fact that these buildings are across the street from children's playgrounds, from food trucks, from condominiums, and from heavily trafficked roadways. So I need you to be alert to this matter, particularly with regard to the impact on workers who are being recruited. Workers and contractors right now are being recruited to work on this demolition plan, and they are not being made aware of the risks. They have a legal right to full disclosure of risks, and they have a right to be protected by Cal and FEMA OSHA for any impacts that impact their exposure to ionizing radiation. So again, this is an issue that's not going away. I promise you this issue is going to get bigger. People who are monitoring this situation are absolutely dumbfounded that anyone, specifically federal government agencies in conjunction with regulators, would propose blowing up buildings that are radiologically impacted within 2 miles of the 3rd Street Transit and Commercial Corridor. I am the principal investigator of the Hunters Point Biomonitoring Program. For the last 6 years, we have been conducting tests on residents and workers that have detected chemicals of concern in the urine of people living within the 1-mile perimeter of the federal Superfund system. These chemicals of concern include products of nuclear fission. We have detected residues of Oppenheimer's uranium-235 bomb. We have detected residues of plutonium-239 bombs. We have a couple living at the fence line of the landfill who have plutonium-238, the radionuclide that powered the Mars rover. So we're talking about a serious situation. We're talking about a potential worsening of air impacts in one of the communities that is most negatively impacted by air toxics in the country, and we need you to be alert and to be aware. We're anticipating a community-wide federal tort claim action where people who are injured, whose property is damaged, who are feeling fear, can file a federal tort claim within a year of injury. So we want to build a medical legal defense fund. We want to identify legal experts who can help support both residents and workers who are being exposed. We do need donations. If any many of you are able to contribute to the work that we're doing. We're spending a lot of money on document legal processing, and we have a demand for more testing as a result of people apprehensive and anticipating the impacts of these volatilized chemicals that will be generated by these explosive demolitions. So thank you very, very much. I have business cards and look forward to connecting with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Ahimsa. So the issue of our environment and the attack on black and brown people in San Francisco and in East Palestine and in Pikeston, Ohio, this is an issue for all working people. This is an issue for Labor Day in San Francisco in 2025 because they want to kill us, and they are killing us with cancer and other toxins. So our next speaker is Rick Baum. He's a member of AFT 2121 at City College. They want to destroy City College. The politicians, the Democrats, and they want to privatize it and turn it and shut it down. So welcome, Rick. Sit down, talk behind me.
Oh, but this is the mic. This one here? Okay. Sorry, I'm not prepared to give a speech. Let me say, I teach at City College of San Francisco, which is a school that serves the working class of San Francisco, and it's being destroyed as we speak. Too few classes are offered to students, so they can't complete programs, and yet they're demands on them to complete the programs right away. And there's very little that's being done to resist the administration and the board that is contributing to this destruction. But the main thing I want to talk about today is the bigger picture, which is that we are a capitalist society. And a capitalist society is based on production for a profit, not for what people need. As a result, many people's needs are continuously getting worse and worse in terms of being met. We have widespread hunger, we have ongoing destruction of the environment, we have poverty, we have displacement, workers losing their jobs, and this wasn't just happening with Trump, although Trump is making things much worse. In fact, one of the things that fascists do in power, the first thing they do is to go after the left. Well, in this country, there's not much of a left to go after, so they don't even have to bother. Instead, they construe things so that the Democrats are treated as the left, and they're the ones that they're trying to destroy. The second thing they go after are workers and their unions. As I speak, unions are being destroyed. Where is the leadership among our union leaders to counter this? We have Sean Fain talking about a general strike in 2028. By then, there may not even be any unions left. We need to be actively organizing now and turning things around quickly. Otherwise, we're just looking at our future state of doom. Real major problems that we face right now is the ongoing destruction of the environment. There's nothing in the cards for capitalism to address this. Capitalism is a system based on growth. A healthy capitalist economy is one that needs to grow. That means using more of our resources at the expense of the environment. That has to be a grave concern for all of us because it threatens all of us. And how is that growth taking place right now? A lot of it is in wasteful, useless expenditures, especially for the military. The military is being built up, and what does the military provide us? It takes out a lot of our resources, but it uses them for destructive purposes. We see that on a widespread scale in what's going on in the Gaza Strip right now. That has to be brought to an immediate end. So, like I said, I'm speaking spontaneously. I hope I've made some sense today. Please keep in mind that the issue that we're facing is an issue of capitalism, a system that disregards our needs and interests. Thank you.
San Francisco has over 80 billionaires, but people are dying in the streets. People don't have health care, and they're cutting back health care in California and San Francisco. We say make the billionaires pay. Instead of cutting social services, instead of cutting health care, make the billionaires pay. But the legislature is controlled by the Democrats. The Democrats have a supermajority of the legislature. Are they demanding that the money that Trump is going to cut the taxes for the billionaires go to people in this country? Hell no. That's why we need a Labor Party. So Monique. So our next, Monique. Well, we have some workers here who are going to talk about issues of solidarity and issues of protecting the home care workers. In San Francisco, their home care workers, they can't even live in this city because of the low wages. How can home care workers live in San Francisco when their salaries are $18, $19 an hour? They can't survive. So we have to organize in the working class. We have to organize for a general strike. This is the power that we have. The other thing that we have to talk about is the role of the AFL-CIO leadership, because the AFL-CIO leadership is supporting U.S. imperialism. They're pro-capitalist. In fact, they take $70 million a year from the National Endowment for Democracy and from USAID for the so-called Solidarity Center. The Solidarity Center operates in 62 countries. It did. And what we're saying is we need direct solidarity with the workers in Mexico, direct solidarity with the workers in Venezuela. We don't need the U.S. government providing money for solidarity. And we face today, on Labor Day 2025, the danger of a U.S. invasion of Venezuela. The United States now is stationing ships off the coast of Venezuela because they plan to invade. They're threatening Panama to invade Panama. This is the open face of U.S. imperialism, the Monroe Doctrine. Throughout history, the United States has said that the rest of the world belongs to them, Latin America and every other country. We're saying that has to end. The people of Venezuela, the people of Cuba, the people of Iran, they need the United States to get out, to stop the sanctions. Workers come to this country because they're forced to come to this country, because of sanctions, because of us, the United States, supporting military dictatorships in other countries. We're saying that has to end. We're saying the people of the world have a right to live peacefully without being bombed by drones and other military equipment. So we're saying, let's build solidarity. Our next speaker is Monique. She is a home care worker, a member of 2015. Welcome, Monique.
Yes, we need to unite. We need to unite as workers here in San Francisco and around the world. Because unless we get together and work together and organize together, we have no chance of defeating the ruling class. And that is what is controlling us right now. They're dividing us and controlling us and putting us in our small little groups so that we can't organize, so that we can't fully realize our power. So if we get together as workers and we call for a general strike, and like Steve mentioned, I'm in a union right now, SEIU 2015. We never get to talk about a general strike. And so the unions can be a really big source of hope for us if they can recognize their power, and if we as workers within those unions can recognize our power together. And we start getting together little by little, more and more of us can start talking about a general strike at our meetings and at our demonstrations. And we could realize that goal. We could have a general strike. Imagine what a general strike would do, just for a little bit. We have to shut this nation down because this nation is running world imperialism. And it's not only hurting workers around the world, it's not only the cause of genocide in Palestine, but it's the cause of our suffering right here. It's the reason why we don't have health care, why we don't have free universal health care, is because we're sending billions to the so-called state of Israel to bomb children and bomb families. Because we're spending billions in our military bases around the world to keep workers in their place, to keep workers in other countries from uniting and fully realizing and using their own resources. That's why we don't have health care. That's why we don't have quality education. That's why schools are shutting down in San Francisco, and the ones that are left are practically just for babysitting. Our children deserve a quality education, and education is the future because our children are the future. So if we want to see that future, we need to use that money here. Education, healthcare, housing, and good paying jobs are basic human rights that we all deserve, that we all work for. But what do we have to show for that work? Nothing. We have people dying on the streets from overdoses, from lack of shelter, because we'd rather spend billions to bomb Palestinians. We'd rather spend billions to operate military bases around the world and choke other workers. So we need to organize, and we need to unite, all of us. We need to tell our unions, call for a general strike. We can't keep saying we're weak and we don't have the power. We need to make it happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Monique. And we're here in the Mission District. One of the things that we have to talk about is gentrification, about the billionaires gentrifying the Mission District and throwing people out. Who are these Democrats? The Democrats are allowing that in San Francisco. Mayor Lurie, billionaire Mayor Lurie, is one of those Democrats who represents Zionism. He represents the billionaires. He wants to have development and kick the working people out of San Francisco. We have to stop gentrification. And joining us is Cristina Gutierrez of Revolutionary Workers United. Welcome, Cristina.
I'm going to tell you that I want to deal with that issue of immigration and the deportations that they are carrying around. And I want to make it clear that it's not about an issue of being deported. The fact is that we are here because United States of North America has interfered in the life of our country. Let's be clear about that. It's not about deportation, brothers and sisters. It's about United States stopping to interfere with our life and our future. Right now, they're getting ready to invade Venezuela. That's what they're doing. You got to understand that we cannot play Mickey Mouse here. They have mobilized troops in Panama. And they are planning to make of Latin America once again a direct colony of this nation because that's what they need. And we need to understand it and mobilize around it. Don't you ask why all those Democrats are saying no to deportations and all that stuff, but they don't give a damn about what goes on in Palestine? Do you question yourselves about that? Because they need the cheap labor. They need to pay us little, so they worry about us only on the basis that they want to keep us picking up tomatoes with no security, no health care, and getting lousy pay. That's what this is all about. And we need to understand it. And unless we take a stand against what's going on in Palestine, the genocide of those children being carried out with our tax money, brothers and sisters. Unless we do that and unite this struggle, we're going to get nowhere. Unless we have a national strike and hopefully worldwide a strike where all those countries like Ukraine, like England, all those European countries that are supporting the genocide going on in Palestine. The workers need to get together all over the world and say, no more, we stop working, we paralyze you, goddammit, and you're not going to use my money to murder children, to go ahead and invade Latin America, Asia, Africa, and the Middle East. We want the money right here to house the homeless. That's why we need the money to house the homeless. We need the money here so we can have free universal health care for all of us. We want the money here because we need to have free quality education in this nation, goddammit. We need to have in this country accessible renting. Who can pay $5,000 a rent? Who can pay that, brothers and sisters? We cannot afford. We're going to increase the amount of homeless going on in here. And we cannot have more unions. More unions that are sellouts. Union leaders have made $300,000 a year. God damn it, $300,000 of benefit, $500,000 they making. How are they going to defend you and me? They don't have the same conditions that we have. They have turned into our enemies because they're selling out our struggle. I hope that today the workers that are coming out here open their eyes and understand that unless you fight for a free Palestine, that unless you understand that that's the key issue, because now it's in Palestine, Argentina happened not that long ago, and they didn't give a goddamn about the black workers that were dying over there. They let them die. And they didn't put one penny over there to save those workers. But they are spending billions and billions of dollars to murder children in Palestine. It is essential, brothers and sisters, that we realize that fascism is consolidating itself right here in this nation. It is important that you realize that Latin America is in danger right now. Venezuela is the proof of it. Well, they're ready to invade and make us direct colonies. That is a fact. And we need to realize that unless we stop that genocide in Palestine, we're going to be the next ones. We need to understand also, brothers and sisters, that we as workers have all the power in the world to stop the madness. You and I are the ones that have the power. The union will be nothing without us. This government will be nothing without us. Let's be clear about that. Let us be clear about that. We produce everything, goddammit, but have nothing. They have everything. They own everything. We don't even own our own homes. Even if we pay off our homes, they own the land where our home are. So with all my heart, I said to you, that it's time to unite, brothers and sisters. That it's time to stop the madness. And that only we can trust each other, the working class. And we should change those leaders, the union that has sell us out. Because only the unions can call for that national strike. And they refuse to do so because they don't want to lose that salary. Because they don't want to lose that money. Because they don't want to lose that power. So we must stop the madness. We must stop the madness. General strike for Palestine! General strike for Palestine! General strike for Palestine!
General strike for Palestine! General strike for Palestine. So as Sister Christina said, this is an international struggle. And the United States is an albatross sitting on the rest of the world, using our wealth, our money, our military to crush workers all over the world. And the Democratic Party, Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats continue to fund this military. They continue to send bombs to Israel. It's not just the Republicans and Trump. The Democrats were responsible as well. So our next speaker is Ricardo Ortiz. He's a comrade, a brother, and from Puerto Rico, has been struggling in general strikes and in movements for the working class. Welcome, Ricardo Ortiz.
Thank you, Comrade Steve, for your introduction. I just want to say a few things that we need to take into account, because the severity of the attacks against the working class, they are not stopping, they are increasing. And Trump has just notified collective bargaining rights for another 6 trade unions in the federal government. And one appeals court declared that the NLRB, the National Labor Relations Board, is unconstitutional. It's not constitutional. So the working class cannot depend on the courts to defend us. Those judges are named by these same politicians that come out of the corporate world, that work for corporations, have been U.S. attorneys locking up people. So we cannot trust the legal system in a capitalist system. It is made by the capitalists themselves, just like the founding fathers were, that were slave owners, bankers, reactionaries, murderers of indigenous people, slave owners. So that's how the legal system became to be, and still it is an oppressive way against the working class. There is some other things that I want to say, and particularly the issue of fascism is one that we have to pay attention to it. And it's not only in the United States, it's all over the world. In Italy, in Spain, in many other countries, these extreme right-wing groups have been growing and supported by even people in the MAGA movement right here in the United States, by pro-Trump people. As we speak, the U.S. is threatening Venezuela. It has sent a flotilla to threaten the Republic of Venezuela with a lot of lies. And what do we say? U.S. out of Venezuela. In the U.S. colony of Puerto Rico now, it was discovered that the United States Marine Corps is doing air exercises with the Puerto Rico's National Guard. Puerto Rico is a colony that is treated like a laboratory for all sorts of oppressive, weird, oppressive experiments. And now it's ruled by an oppressive, blood-sucking fiscal control board. Who put it was Obama in there. So Democrats and Republicans, they all linked to the industrial military complex. They all are in the hands of the corporations. Right here, Nancy Pelosi, her husband belongs to many corporation boards. Paul Pelosi, that's a club of millionaires, what the Democratic Party in San Francisco is. Brothers and sisters, we got to build an independent workers' party. And we got to organize ourselves by neighborhoods, by communities. In the labor movement, we got to start organizing revolutionary caucuses that would push the leadership of the unions to fight, because they are in bed with the Democratic Party. So we got to get them out of, that situation. We got to make these organizations combative, working class organizations, ones that would defend us, that will advance toward workers' parties in this country. And it is the system. We will never have equality, social welfare for people, for all, medical care that is built in a fair manner, because as long as this system of corporate medicine, corporate education, we always be ruined. Now as we speak, every young college graduate gets out of college indebted to the court, to the banks of this country. We gotta change that around. So, and whoever is a socialist and does otherwise and supports the Democrats or makes a deal with the Democrats is not a socialist. We got AOC that claims that she is a pro-socialist. She votes for the capitalists. She votes for the defense budget. She's not a socialist. We gotta build a real socialist organization, independent, that will get away with the system, that put workers in power, nationalize all the economy, and put it in the hands of working people. Well, that's all I have to say, comrades. Thank you very much. Let's march. Let's continue doing this rally right here. Keep doing great speeches. Thank you very much.
Freedom from Puerto Rico, U.S. out of Puerto Rico. That's what we have to say. The U.S. out of Puerto Rico, U.S. out of Panama, U.S. out of the rest of the world. So are there any other people who would like to speak? It's an open mic. Any other speakers? So if not, we'll wrap it up. I want to thank you all. We're going to join the main rally. Solidarity and for a general strike against fascism. We got to stop these fascists with a general strike. Thank you, brothers and sisters.
Hello, everybody. Now we'd like to ask people to join the 11 o'clock rally of the unions. That's going to be right diagonally across on 16th and Mission. And they're going to be marching. Quisiera pedirle a las personas que se reúnen allá en el rally que está por empezar a las 11